Morning guys, got another video here. I've got a couple I need to upload still, but I had a little hiccup with my videos, so might start out with video and end up with some pictures of the finished project. So hey, it happens, I guess. So well, here's another one. I had a customer call and ask if I could put this on the back of his camper. So I came to look at it, and he wanted it welded to the camper. He wanted it welded to the frame. And hey guys, I'm all about the customer's right, and you try to do what the customer wants because it's their money, it's their job. But I expressed my concern with welding to campers. I personally don't like it. Welding is a fire hazard on its own, and I think just campers increase that hazard. So last resort, I try not to weld to these things if I don't have to. So I spoke with him about it, my concerns, and we came up with a solution. I told him I would rather have it bolted, but I know sometimes these bumpers aren't the best because they're very thin and they will rip here, right? And I know there's a spare tire that already sits up here and it does a lot of flexing with that, but so adding this to that may increase. But what we came up with is we've got a piece of 1x2 I'm gonna lay across here all the way. It's gonna be bolted down, and I'm gonna bolt it down, to this frame here. It's gonna have some pieces that come across the top and 90-degree down. So, and then I'm gonna have some angle coming off the bottom, going across the top, and I'm gonna weld this dude together. But it's essentially gonna bolt here, rest here. So I'm thinking that it'll be pressure pushing this way, pulling down, and then it'll be anchored here. So that was my solution. So see how it works. It's not going to hold much. She said just some ice chest, maybe like a little camping stove, but he does want to put the tire under there. So we're gonna kind of put it together. So I thought I'd give you an overview of what we're gonna do. Set up over here and kind of work over here away from the camper, get my sparks out into the yard, and some of that shavings, put a little iron back in the soil, and then keep this kind of a little clean, and then whatnot. But as you guys see real quick, I got an air compressor for the truck, and don't look at that, I kind of damaged my tailgate. It's not bad, it looks worse than it is, but yeah, I got myself compressor. Got myself a compressor from Harbor Freight. Yep. So a 30-gallon tank, support my air arcing capabilities, and if you notice, it's still riding pretty nice, and I think it's because of that right there. You guessed it, I put myself, that's it, a set of air sacs on there. Yep, my welding rig now has a set of air sacs. Yeah, so got my factory ride back and height. All right guys, anyways, I digress. We'll get back to it, and I'm going to pre-cut everything. I don't think you guys need to watch me use that chop saw, but what I'll do is I'll pre-cut everything. I left my MIG welder at home. So I'm gonna use that guy for all this stuff. So all right, well, let me get working on this. I'm gonna put you guys down and come back in a minute. All right. Okay, I'm back, guys. Thanks for waiting. So here's what I have so far. So here's that crossbar that I got laid across the top of the frame, and what I did here was I came out a 1/2 inch from the frame, and I'm going to drill holes through both sides, of course. See, right over here too, boom boom. And I got these eye bolts. So what I'm going to do is, these are 1/2-inch eye bolts. I'm going to cut them to length, but I'm going to drop them through the holes, of course, cut them off where they need to be, and I'm going to weld the top and I'm going to weld the bottom. So they're going to be permanent in there. And I've got some washers and stuff for the bottom. I'll get a piece of angle iron and go up underneath to sandwich the frame, right? Sandwich that frame right there, and I'll tighten up against it. And then, so that's that. That's how it's going to hold to the camper. But what I'm going to do for the basket is I've got my little pieces here. Okay, they're gonna weld. I don't know. I haven't decided. Well, it depends where the basket's going to sit too. So it's going to be there, and there's going to be 3 of these dudes. You know, evenly spaced, of course. I haven't figured that out yet, but so gonna be 3 across the top, and then gonna weld this down at a 90-degree. I got my 45s cut there. Don't pay attention to that gap there. I blame it on the chop saw. I put it on 45 and cut it. So yeah, it was my fault probably. So back to the process. So I'm going to weld that there, of course, and then I've got some rubber tube, some bicycle tubes. I'm going to lay underneath here so it doesn't rub. Of course, you don't want metal on metal, right? You know, this little that chingadero will go there, and that one there, something like that, right? Looks pretty good. But anyways, that's what my plan is. And then I'm gonna weld angle iron going out across the bottom of this, 90 degrees out this way, out that way. And I'm gonna set the basket in there. I'm gonna weld the basket there, and got a piece of angle iron going across this way, and I'm gonna secure the basket to the angle iron. And that's that. So that is my plan. I'm just kind of making this stuff as I go. If I could talk right now, this stuff up, making it up as I go. That the customer wants underneath the basket. So it's got that angle iron piece, or that angle iron. We don't even know what I'm talking about. It's got this square tube there, but I'm gonna cut that off. I got some heavier tube. Now I'm gonna make a new one. And what it's gonna do is I'm gonna take out this old receiver mount for that guy, and I'm gonna set that up in here, and I'm gonna use this to put that tire on, because this is really rigid, it's really heavy, and it was meant to handle that weight. So that being said, we're gonna try it. I'm gonna mount it there. It's gonna be about this low, but if you look at the jacks under the trailer and the steps and everything else, it's going to be above that level, so it's not going to drop below, and this won't be the lowest point. You always want to make sure you're above the lowest point on the manufactured, you know, areas on the trailer. So just always keep that in mind if you guys ever do something like this, whatever. I'm probably preaching to the choir, but just little things if somebody doesn't know and they're getting into this. Always make sure you're above the lowest point, because if something's going to get ripped off, make sure it's manufacturer's, not yours. But that's that. Okay, well, I'm going to get figuring the rest of these measurements out, and I will probably start tacking everything together. And as soon as I get to a point where I want to put it together, even if I fail at it, I'm going to turn the camera on and we're gonna check it out. All right, guys, hopefully you can hear me over the fan and the welder. This is what I'm doing. I'm putting these little guys on first. They're gonna sit flat on top of the bumper. What I did is I welded these guys in. I cut one of the eyelets off, but I left one of them on because I figured, hey, he could use it for a strap to tie his stuff down. So hopefully he likes that. If not, I'll come back and cut it off and do what I'm doing. Anyways, so what I'm doing here to make sure that I'm flush with the bottom, I use one of my other pieces. I use a clamp, get it up here, and then I squared it up. Hold on here. Squared it up like that. Looks good. And then I'll come back with another clamp it this way, make sure it doesn't move, and I'll get it welded out. So using my 7018s, of course, that's what I'm doing right there. But then I'll come back and get this guy figured out, so I can put it right in the middle. I'll weld the 90-degree ones that go on there. I'll get fitted up here, take this guy off. But I just wanted to show you real quick. Let me see if I can set it up and get you a little weld action. I know what you guys like sometimes, a little bit of weld action. For whatever you can see, I don't know where to set you at, but I'm actually not gonna do that. All right, I'm just gonna cut this part out. Man, oh man, guys, I am so sorry. I don't know where I left off. I got carried away in putting this thing together, and I realized I hadn't done much video. So here's what I did so far. We're gonna go into the side like so, and this is the top that goes on the bumper. I ended up cutting off one of the eyelets. I'm gonna use this one as a tie down. Well, the customer, he can use this as a tie down to strap his things down. So I did that on both ends. I welded a piece of angle iron to here, and then I stitched it together inside. It's got some paint on it, and it's all bubbly, so, but I assure you those welds look good. So, and then I welded it to the back of the frame, and I used angle iron here to get extra support. Same with here. Sandwich that together, it's fully welded. And then, oops, I forgot to paint that, but I'll touch that up. And I did the same over here. So now what I got to do is he wants the spare tire to fit under there. So I had to cut this off so it'll go onto the bumper. Anyways, where am I at? So now I'm just getting that guy. I'm going to use the stock one. Let's see if it works. Okay, we're gonna use the stock one. I'm thinking about just throwing this dude, man, right up in there. Looky. Man, actually that fits good. So what I'm gonna do is I will just get that tire taken off and take that tire off. Actually, before I weld it together, I'm gonna measure, make sure there's enough clearance and it's not below those jacks over there. So that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for reminding me. And then if it works, I'm gonna pull the tire off, weld that mount right where it sits, put this on there. Oh, and I've got some leftover angle iron. There you go, just poke some holes in there. Use those to get up underneath, right? Clamp those guys, so yeah, whatever. So that's where I'm at right now. I apologize again, but now y'all are up to date. So I'll snap some photos, try to load some photos on, and then once I get this thing bolted on, I will come back, video again, and hopefully you guys can hear me with that fan going. But, all right, talk to you in a few minutes. All right, guys, it's on there. So this is what the finished product looks like. There was one little, so guys, it's on there. That's what the finished product looks like. We had one little hiccup, and well, couple, but I had a little bit of a bow in that back support here, that back beam. I mean, I welded in it. I welded on it on that side. I put a curve in it. You know, what are you gonna do? Live and learn, I guess. I cut this out. There was a piece of channel here. If you guys remember, that's where the spare tire. Well, that's where the receiver went and I was going to put the spare tire there. It did not work out. It was going to be way too low. Customer's not here. I'm going to give him a call. I'm hoping that this is how it's been a few weeks since we talked, but I wrote it down in my book that this is how it was going to be built, and it's going to be level with the top of the bumper. And we talked this morning, but I'm hoping it wasn't the bottom level with the top of the bumper. I don't think so, because you got the ladder in the way and you got that, and, you know, who knows. It could be just my mistake or whatever, but anyways, it didn't work, so I put a piece of tube back in there, and so you got my bolts there, and what I'm going to do is set this down here right like that, and I'm going to show you guys the old jump test on it. So I'm about 185, and I was all the way out here, so I think if you stacked a couple 100 pounds in there, spread out even, especially up here, you know, I think you're going to be just fine. So I'm up here now, and it sure bounces the whole trailer, and this thing doesn't really move. So anyways, I think the design's good. Hopefully the customer's happy. I'm going to have to figure something out with a spare tire, but I've lost about a gallon of water, and it's hot, so I'll just figure it out with him and come back on this. All right, guys, see you then.